Hey guys, what's up? It's me, and today I'm going to teach you how to draw Max Payne from Max Payne 3. So all you need for today's drawing tutorial is a simple pencil with a handy dandy pencil sharpener. If you're using mechanical, of course you don't need a pencil sharpener. Let's get started, gamers. Now, first step, like we did with the jacket drawing, I basically moved my pencil around the paper to simulate me drawing without actually touching the paper so we can get a good feel. Now, what we're going to do is do a pretty fast sketch right here, and for Max Payne's body, you're going to make like a bean shape, as you can see on the screen now. The second thing you want to do is make arms protruding outwards. Now, Max Payne will be jumping out with one hand holding a Desert Eagle, and the other hand that we're drawing right now with an Uzi. This Uzi will be firing off rounds, so we're going to make a little flare on the gun. Now going on to the left side, we're making the left arm, and for the top, just make a simple circle, then protruding outwards. We go ahead and make where the muscle placement, and for the elbow, you make a circle, and for the wrist, I make a circle as well, because just to indicate actual points of the arm and muscles. Really helpful. And really, since this is a sketch, all you really need to do is make a block-like form, a really blocky gun for his hand. That's what we're pretty much going to do. Same thing like we did with the Uzi. Now this is where we're actually going to make his legs and his pants on the bottom of the bean-like shape that we made. So basically he has baggy pants, so really just make some baggy-like shapes down there, and that's going to be his legs. Now we're working on the top shoulders, and for his head, just make an ovalish egg-like shape for his head. Not too big, not too small, just a good size. Take a good look at your sketch and see what size you can make for your Max Payne head. And then we're going to make a little ear, an ear for his guy. His right ear is not showing. And then we're going to make a good indication line, or check mark if you will, in the middle of his head, and one going straight down the middle. And this is where that's a line that I did right there to indicate his white beater that he has. Now this is where we're actually going to form the pants and add more detail. Now this is also where we're going to go ahead and erase those lines that we made with our bean shape, so that bean shape sketch we did earlier is not going to show anymore. And now we're going to go ahead and work on the belt that he has. Basically going all around his bottom of his wife beater. So you can get the overall pose. He's jumping out with two guns in his hands, acting like a badass because he is one. So yeah, a really cool action-like pose we're doing here. And it's not really too hard. The bean shape is very helpful for this drawing, guys. Trust me. Now, of course, like I said, he has baggy pants, so you might want to replicate that. You know, have some folds and some wrinkles in his pants, like all clothing does when you wear it. It forms wrinkles and folds, and you want to capture that in your drawing. Now for beginners it might take some time, but don't worry, it's very easy. Now right there I forgot to add in the sketch is his gun holster, but nothing really too complicated. So right there I'm working on the gun holster, just a simple little shape. This is where he would be holding his pistol or his Uzi, of course. And it's also connected with straps that will go around his shoulders. He also has another gun holster to the right, but of course it's not showing. But there's still a strap on his right side. Now this is where you also want to make the folds and wrinkles in his white beater shirt. Now once you're done with the wrinkles, you want to go ahead and make lines that are going upwards. This is basically to show the knitting and the stitching of his shirt, to add in more detail. Now if you don't want to do that, then that's fine, but it would be recommended if you want to show a lot of good detail. And now this is where we're actually going to work on his arms, improve the muscles, and work on the muscle placement and the arms, and also work on the hands as well. So those circles, go ahead and erase those. You don't need those anymore because we're working on the arm and we already know what to do. So basically just shaping the muscles and the arm. And I added a little line right there because we're going later on. We're going to make the straps for his gun holster. And I had little circles to replicate knuckles. Go ahead and erase those if you made them. The circles for the knuckles are optional. I just did that to help myself. And of course, you want to shape your fingers and basically shape the elbow and the arm. And this is where we're going to make the veiny sections of his arm to make it more realistic. And right here, we are actually working on the strap of his gun holster. So make a line all the way down and make sure it has a good connection with the actual holster down the bottom. Now this is where we're going to complete his wife beater t-shirt right there. And this is where we're going to add in the bones that are showing behind the skin, basically his neck. And of course you can see the gun holster strap is actually going around his neck, so make sure you add that too. Now this right here, I went back and improved the hand. You always want to observe hands when they're gripping objects, like for example a gun. You know, you want to pay attention to the fingers and how they're gripping it, you know. Make it look more convincing that they're actually gripping or grasping an actual object. Now this is where I make the actual lines I was talking about, the stitching of the white beater t-shirt that he's wearing right now. So yeah, as you can see, it adds a lot more detail, and you want to make your wrinkles and your folds first before you do this, guys. And you can see all placing these details where Max Payne is coming together. Now this is where we're going to go ahead and add details to our gun. Now guns, of course, they all really consist of blocky shapes and pretty much blocky rectangular sections. Now the really only round sections I would say in a gun would be its barrel hole and maybe the little mechanism where you can switch the fire rate. But that's pretty much it. And on some gun models, there might be some round shapes, but for the most part, it's basically a blocky form. Also, another thing that I forgot to add, make sure that your Max Payne is in good proportion. That his head's not too big or too small. No, I mentioned that already, but you want to make sure that the size of his arms and his body are pretty good to go. Now, from an angle, you would say that Max Payne is pretty fat. Actually, Max Payne, later on in Max Payne 3, he has kind of a pot belly going on. And from the source material, he kind of looks fat, but you can know that he doesn't really look obese. Now we're going to go ahead and shapen the left arm that's holding the Uzi. So right here, I'm adding some muscle placement, like we did for the like we did for the left arm. For the right arm, you want to shapen the arm, and of course, add any muscle placement. And this is where we're going to go ahead and work on the Uzi. This is where you want to shapen your hand. We made a little oven mitt earlier for the right hand. You want to go ahead and shapen that. and there's going to be one finger up pulling the trigger right there. So make sure you have the trigger around his finger. And this is where we can actually shape in the body of the Uzi, of the gun. And also shape in the fingers and make it not look like an oven mitt anymore. And of course, all we really need to do is make some little squares and rectangular shapes for the sides of the gun. And also some rectangular shapes for the main body of the gun as well. Pretty simple. And of course, you don't want to forget the fingernails. And also, of course, our skin has wrinkles of its own as well. Now for the gun flare, I just basically made a gun flare. Just a little scratchy, like, flare on the gun where it's not showing the barrel. And there we go. We got Max Payne shooting off awesome Uzi. And of course, if you see any lines, any lines from your sketch, from any like circles or the bean shape that we made, go ahead and try to find those and erase those if they're still on your paper. Alright, now going on to the face. Basically, the face is pretty self-explanatory. Max Payne has a beard, and also Max Payne has a very big scruffy beard. And for the nose, if you're really familiar with making portraits, this should be easy, but for beginners this might be really hard. But don't worry, his eyes are just basically football shapes, really squinty football shapes. And for his hair, he doesn't really have any, he basically just has a gray bald spot right there, and he also has a little scar up on, he has like 2 little scars up on his left eye, sorry. And of course, you want to make wrinkles on top of his forehead as well. And this is where we're actually going to add details in his ear. Now, there looks like to be an earpiece in his ear, but don't worry about that. You don't really have to add that in. That's pretty much kind of a necessary detail right there. Now, whenever I do faces, I do one eye, either if it's the right or left one, and then I would always have trouble doing the other eye. But don't worry if that happens to you as well. That happens probably to most artists, but if it happens to you, don't worry, don't get discouraged. Eventually you'll get it down. Just take some time. And basically this egg-like shape is not going to be really an egg-like shape anymore, it's actually going to be more shapen and look like a human head. And Max Payne's actually kind of like a middle-aged man, so he's not going to be like really old, but he does have a lot of wrinkles, and this picture does show his age a lot. So of course make sure you add those scars above his left eye right there. That's a lot of detail. Lets you know that this guy's been through a lot. Now this is pretty much just a quick little overview of how I actually shaded Max Payne. Remember guys, everything that I draw is based on the photo of the source image that I got from Google Images. If you're having trouble on the head, go ahead and go back to the spot where we made the head and observe more of it. It's pretty simple, and also I would recommend, if you're having really a hard time, make a circle for the nose if you're having trouble with the nose, because I heard that for a lot of people, making the nose is hard for faces, and yeah, I can understand that. Making noses, well, you gotta find the right spot, and that goes the same for the mouth and the eyes, because you don't want the eyes too high or the nose too long, and the mouth in the wrong place. It's all about finding the right place, and also making that making a line going straight down half of the head is very helpful. and also the line that's going through the head as well to put your eyes and your eyebrows. So yeah, this is where you wanted to color your gun gray. And also, you want to add hairs for his on his arm as well. And the Uzi is black, the Desert Eagle is gray, and the Uzi is just pretty much black. So yeah, his left arm only really shows hairs, and the left arm doesn't really. Of course, you want to improve his beard as well. And really, for the beard, for the hairs, all we really need to do is just make simple lines that are going up and down and form around the mouth and below the nose. And this is where I add a lot more emotion, basically like making his eyes look more angrier. And there we go. That is Max Payne, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, you can pause anytime to look at the picture, to observe it for yourself. So guys, that's it. I'll see you later.